Good morning, Minister Barron, Shadow Minister Weeks, Director Joanne Dean of the DNDC, members of the media, friends and supporters. Bermuda will join the National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence in celebrating April 2017 as Alcohol Awareness Month. This is a time to increase public awareness and understanding, reduce stigma, and encourage communities to focus on alcoholism and alcohol-related issues. CADA joins the Department for National Drug Control and the Bermuda Coalition in recognizing the critical public health issues of alcoholism and its impact on young people and their families. During this call to action, parents need to know that progress is being made in the struggle to address underage drinking in our community. Research shows that kids who learn about the dangers of underage drinking from their parents are up to 50% less likely to experiment with than kids who don't. So help connect the dots for your kids about alcohol use. It's worth it. To learn more about underage drinking, go to CADA.bn. No Alcohol Day. CADA asks its parents and other adults to learn more about alcoholism and its effects by visiting our website or any other of the many resources available online. April is Alcohol Awareness Month. CADA would like to remind you that if drinking has caused problems in your relationships, at work, at home, financially, physically, or legally, it may be time to get help. Some of the events happening in April, CADA and the Bermuda Coalition will be presenting a forum on underage drinking in Bermuda on April 6th at 5:45 at the Cathedral. Later this month, CADA, in conjunction with the Bermuda Road Safety Council and A Piece of the Rock, will be premiering a documentary on road collisions in Bermuda. In conclusion, connecting the dots, opportunities for recovery and prevention. Thank you. Minister?
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, again. How are you? I'm really here to make an introduction again to everybody because I'm going to be reading a proclamation, of course, shortly. So my comments will simply be introductory. I'd like to, of course, acknowledge the director, Ms. Joanne Dean of the Department of National Drug Control. She's done fantastic work ever since taking that role. But really, in the last year, I've seen some tremendous work coming out of your department. So thank you, Director Dean. And I must also say that every time I come to speak at one of these events within the ministry and even out of the ministry, when we talk about alcohol abuse and drug abuse, my colleague, the Honorable Mr. Weeks here, is always there again to show his support, and we often share the stage. So I want to thank you for your continued commitment with this. And without further ado, please, I'd love for you to say some words. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Barron's very kind. Good morning, Mr. Barron.
Good morning. Good to see you. Thank you.
Okay. The CADA Executive Director, Mr. Anthony Santucci, the Director of the Department of National Drug Control, media, and friends. April is Alcohol Month. The theme for this year is Connecting the Dots, Opportunities for Recovery. A comprehensive approach to addressing underage drinking. Parents and adults must take personal responsibility for making alcohol less accessible to our young people. The younger a person is when they start consuming alcohol, the greater the potential that they become addicted to alcohol and/or drugs later in life. The National School Survey of 2015 reports lifetime use of alcohol is at 52%. Current use of alcohol is 18%. That is 18% of our current middle and senior school students reporting having consumed some type of alcohol. Consistent and sustained parental attitudes can influence a child's decision about whether or not to use alcohol and/or drugs. Children who have conversations with their parent and/or guardians and learn a lot about the dangers of alcohol and drugs and drug use are 50% less likely to use alcohol and drugs than those who don't have such conversations. In 2015, the total amount of alcohol sold in Bermuda was 6.5 million liters. And that information came from the Biden report from the Department of National Drug Control. Where do our children get alcohol from? Per the National School Survey in 2015, and it's a quote, about half of the current users of alcohol have reported that they usually get it from their friends. A significant number, or about 1 out of every 8 current users, has reported to shop as the source of their alcohol consumed. People, I've said it over and over, and I will continue to say it over and over, that this is not a national security issue. This is a health issue. This is a community issue. So we all have to do our part to ensure that our children are safe. Recently, in the throne speech, the minister referred to social hosting laws. This certainly is one of many steps that we can take. I recently read an article titled, "Iceland Knows How to Stop Teen Substance Abuse, but the Rest of the World Isn't Listening." Is it not way past time to have a serious discussion about social hosting laws? Is it not way past time to have a serious discussion about the creation of a ABC, Alcohol and Bureau of Control? We sold 6.5 million liters of alcohol in 2015 as our population is decreasing. Today, Iceland tops the European table for the cleanest living teens. The percentage of 15 and 16-year-olds who had been drunk in the previous month plummeted from 42% in 1998 to 5% in 2016. The way that country has achieved this turnaround has been both radical and evidence-based, but it has relied a lot on what might be termed enforced common sense. The country has created new opportunities for kids of all ages to get involved with the community. Laws were changed. It became illegal to buy alcohol under the age of 20, and tobacco and alcohol advertising was banned in Iceland. For instance, parents get 8 or 9 free parenting sessions each year, and a new program provides extra funding for public institutions and NGOs working in mental health promotion and stress management. At this time, I just want to thank you for giving me time to express my feelings on this.
Thank you again. Appreciate that very much. Ladies and gentlemen, one thing is clear, that whether it is creating awareness for prevention, not just for alcohol, drug abuse, but also violence and other complex social issues, there are a few things we can do. But one of the key things, and we've heard and we'll hear again through the proclamation, is to take time and to speak to our youth. Whether you're a parent, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a member of parliament, whether you're someone in government, engage them, because that is where the awareness begins and that is where the empowerment begins. It is so critical, and we will hear from various members of the community about that very piece. And sometimes that goes overlooked. Stop and talk to them. Engage them. I'd like to read the proclamation now if I could.
Minister?
Thank you. The objective for Alcohol Awareness Month 2017 is to raise public awareness about underage drinking, the connecting the dots opportunities for recovery. Parents and adults may take personal responsibility for making alcohol less accessible to our young people. The younger the person is when they begin consuming alcohol, the more likely they are to develop an addiction to alcohol. Youth who drink are more likely to be involved in alcohol-related traffic, crashes, and have serious school-related problems. A supportive family environment is associated with lower rates of alcohol use for adolescents. The National School Survey of 2015, thank you to the directors, 19.2% of youth said they were a passenger on a bike or in a car driven by someone who had been drinking. Consistent and sustained parental attitudes can influence a child's decision about whether or not to use alcohol and drugs. Kids who have conversations with their parents and guardians and learn a lot about the dangers of alcohol and drugs use are 50% less likely to use alcohol and drugs than those who don't have such conversations. Engage, engage, engage. Therefore, as the Minister of National Security, I do hereby proclaim that the month of April in the year of our Lord 2016 is to be observed throughout these islands as Alcohol Awareness Month, given under my hand this 30th day of March 2017. Thank you very much, members of the media. If there are any questions, I'm sure we'd be happy to take some of those.
Has there ever been a prosecution of anyone for serving or selling alcohol to an underage person?
Is that for me, Brian?
Anyone?
The answer is for me, and I'll certainly pass this over to you. I don't know, and there certainly should be. And when we talk, and Mr. Weeks talks about social host laws, when we talk about having that conversation and creating more awareness, I think it's absolutely important that we have to take more accountability. This island and this community has to be more accountable. And I don't just say for the parents, but also over-serving alcohol in licensed premises. That's why we have tips, tips trains, tips educators. It's so important because enjoying alcohol is someone's privilege right now. And when you meet a certain age and you're not you're overserved, but that happens. We go to licensed premises and that can happen. And so it's not just the parent who's giving an underage child some alcohol or making it giving them access to that, or buying beer for their friend's party or their son's party. It is also the responsible licensed premises, the restaurants and the bars and other nightclubs and all licenses really that have a responsibility to enforce their license that they have and the rules and restrictions that their license comes under, and ensures that they are again taking care of those people, because when a patron comes in, they're under their charge, they're liable. It's the same as if they gave them food poisoning. There are certain steps that they take to ensure that their meals are prepared safely, and that they don't get food poisoning, and that their security while they're there is there. So why would we then ignore such a blatant thing like overselling alcohol and over-serving someone? So it's an important question, and it's certainly something that I can refer to you if there have been any prosecutions.
Good morning, everyone. Short answer, Brian, to that is, as far as I'm aware, there haven't been any prosecutions. But I don't want to say that because that is an opportunity. But let's not miss the fact that our kids, 1 out of 8, are saying they get alcohol from friends and at home. So certainly there's an opportunity in restaurants and bars, and I personally I'm not trying to mitigate that. But our kids are telling us where they're getting it. They're not guessing. They say, I get alcohol from families and friends and at home. So if 90% of our kids are getting alcohol from family and friends at home, then my problem isn't the club, my problem isn't the bar or restaurant, my problem is at home. And it's critically important that we understand and stem that flow. I mean, Shadow Minister Weeks spoke of Iceland and how they went in 20 years from 40-odd% down to 5%. Well, you know what? That's a template for us to follow, because that really needs to be how we get there. We don't have 20 years to do it, because in 20 years' time, we're all going to be retired and hopefully sitting on our back patio. We expect these kids to take care of us. So we need to get there faster, more comprehensively, but the issue is clear about our children, that they're getting alcohol from families, friends, and at home. Yes, they need to prosecute the clubs and bars where it's necessary, but let's not forget the fact that they're getting it from home. And so we need to fix that.
Actions speak louder than words.
Absolutely right.
No argument from me this block.
Absolutely right. And sometimes that helps craft the conversation a bit more and curb behavior. And particularly when it comes from someone like me who stands up for a living and addresses a microphone and speaks and speaks and speaks. While those things are important to set the tone, you're absolutely right. Actions do speak louder than words, and we have to align our actions with our words, not just through our government, but throughout the community as well.